So, Duy, welcome. Good to see
Thanks,
you
Gary.
back.
Yeah,
Yes, actually, tell me,
it's good to
just
be back.
a quick one. How was your experience? I mean, obviously, I've seen the photos, but how was the experience while you're there? I knew you went, which is why you couldn't do the last inner circle because we had. I know I was trying to schedule in the previous one, but you couldn't make it because then I found out that you were actually flying to the Philippines.
Yeah. I couldn't make the last inner circle. Yeah, I've been away for a week in the Philippines, but yeah, it was amazing actually. Uh, I've had a few holidays in the past. Even though this wasn't a holiday, I'd rate this as one of the best things I've ever done.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And why is that though, Duy?
Um, I think it's mainly just I'm one of those people that likes to be quite active when I'm away. I'm not a resort type of person, but especially on this trip, just to be able to make such a big difference over there and see meet so many of the people over there and see how they live their lives and be able to help. I mean, the one school we went to, they were spending in excess of $500 a year just buying water for the children there, and they just realized they didn't have to spend that money anymore. So that was pretty amazing.
Mm.
And for my son to actually see that as well, and so that he can uh, get a perspective on uh, life for other people in the world as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's actually a great lesson. I think he's going to learn to see and appreciate. I think what he actually has, because I know he's always in a Batman suit, so he probably that's his world. So going over
Yeah.
there and seeing those kids, which is
Well, he's always in the Batman suit, and he wants to be a hero. So, but he actually, I get him involved because it gives him a bit of ownership as well. And he's even though he's only 6 years old, I believe that you know, um, he's capable of doing it, and because I give him the ability to make that decision, he actually owns it. So
mm.
believe it or not, he actually makes most of the decisions on what we do. So I just
Really?
let him decide. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Example? Can you give me an example of say a decision that he has to make as a little child?
Just like even this campaign this year that we did, this is our second campaign, and when I sort of gave him the options of what he wanted to do this year, I sort of come up with a few ideas, whether it's water or women's shelter or something else, and I sort of give him a list and ask him what he thinks we should do and why, and he picked water and told me why he wanted to do it, and that's why we did it. So
Okay.
that's where it
Okay.
came from.
Wow. Okay. I thought it actually came from you. I had no idea it was actually your son's decision, which is ultimate.
Yeah, no, it's good. I give him ownership of it, and he loves it. So yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually also a form of outsourcing to Dewey in terms of decision making.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Dewey, for sharing. Yeah, I think it's just an inspiration to us all. So I think in the end, I always say this as well that ultimately we trade, we invest. There are reasons, of course. Firstly, is to look after ourselves financially, plus our family, making sure that's okay. And once we have that or sorted out, okay, do what you want to do, the freedom side, and of course, if you can, which is what you've done, even amalgamate that the freedom side, but also have going out there while you're having the freedom to also now, on top of that, do charity work while you're overseas, which is even to another level. So yeah, so really good to see, Dwayne.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, so anyway, well, we'll officially begin in terms of the usual questions that I normally ask. So Doi, where are you from, and what do you actually do for a living?
So I'm from Sydney. Well, I'm Vietnamese, and I guess my background is kind of similar to yours. I came to Australia when I was very young as a refugee with my family.
Mm,
But that was in sort of came here in about 85.
okay.
I was only almost 2 years old. And what I do for a living, I'm a contracts manager for in construction. So
Mm,
easiest way to explain that is there's the building side of construction, and then there's all the sort of commercial sort of finance side of it and legal side of it, and that's what I do. So
yeah. Okay.
I work in construction, but I'm certainly not a handyman. I'd have to get someone in to fix my house. So
That's okay. You're actually, I think that's probably why we also, because the first time we met, I connected quite well with you, and I actually didn't know. Thank you for sharing. I actually had no idea that you were similar background to me. So because of somehow, for some reason, I actually thought you were also born, you were actually born here, because I think you're quite young. Yeah. So I had no idea you were also a refugee from Vietnam as well.
yeah.
So no, yeah, thank you for sharing that. So how long have you actually been with us, the Freedom Trader?
I actually joined in July last year, 2017. But I actually didn't start actually trading till about November. I sort of had a few things on for the first month, and then it took me a long time to set up IB because I was setting up in a trust. And I know a few people have asked questions on the Facebook page about setting it up. And I know Pamela previously asked me as well. And to be honest, it took me a while. I can't remember exactly what I did, but eventually IB sort of told me what to do. But yeah, so they called me up and sort of gave me a few instructions on what to do. And I finally got it set up in November. So yeah, I've been part of the Freedom Trader since July, but not active till about November.
Right. Okay. And then so far, what's been your experience, I guess, in terms of your experience with the Blueprint program?
It's been amazing. I really enjoy trading. I previously, maybe about 2013, I started dabbling in a bit of trading on the ASX, but I don't have a background in finance or anything, so a lot of the I didn't really know what I was doing. But I was a huge fan of Warren Buffett and investing in good companies and whatnot. But at the time when I started investing, or trading, I was more so taking tips at the local barbecue, and just taking barbecue tips and not really knowing what shares I was getting into. So for about a year, I was trading, without any system or anything, and I really wanted to learn a system, but I just couldn't find sort of any books or any resources that could sort of help me develop it. And I was trying to understand what Warren Buffett was doing, and it was all a bit too hard. I spent a year, didn't make much money, but had a lot of sleepless nights, and then I sort of stopped. After that, I sort of said, well, maybe it's not for me.
Okay.
But and that's why I sort of say, like, I don't like taking a risk, and I'm not a gambler, but I probably could have made more money at Star City Casino at that time, to be honest. But
right.
but since doing the course and being part of Freedom Trader Blueprint, yeah, I've actually learned a lot more. Through your course, I've learned a lot of what those ratios mean. I've been able to sort of piece together, where you get your system, some influences from what Warren Buffett does, and it started to make sense to me. So and I'm actually making sort of decent returns. So and I don't and being able to sort of trade in the last sort of hour of the market or half an hour of the market and not have to think about it for the rest of the day, that's the best thing for me. I know that after 6 a.m. or now 6 a.m. or whenever the US market closes, I can go on the rest of my day without really worrying too much about it. So that's been pretty.
Yeah, that is actually people say, oh, I've got to either wake up. I mean, it's gonna get better because it's gonna be, for example, in Sydney, it's gonna become 8 a.m. soon. So people say, oh, the US market too hard, got to stay up late at night, early in the morning, whatever. But in actual fact, and they go, oh, I prefer the Australian market because at least I can trade a while during the day. But in actual fact, like you, I find it so much better on the US market because you prepare unemotionally because the market's closed. Then you know what you want to buy, what you want to sell, and then by the time the last half hour where you just want to pretty much just confirm, put in your orders, and the rest of the day you're free to go, do whatever you need to do, right? And life goes on.
Yeah, that's it. So and when I was trading on the ASX, I was whilst at work, every 10 minutes I'd be checking, where's this, has the price gone up, is it going down? And it was just wasn't very much fun at all. So I stopped.
Yeah, and that's the part where I also hate going to the US, for example, say I go US, United States, or anywhere near there, basically the northern side, because their time zones are the same. And in actual fact, I hate that because it means that while I'm on tour or while I want to go out and play for the day, I can't because sometimes it just means that I either forget about the markets or I do the markets and don't go out. So, and of course, I still choose that I'll go out and just let go of the market. So it means that I potentially miss out on the trade because I'm in the same time zone as well. Yeah. So actually, I know you mentioned about the results that you've had. I'm gonna see if I can just quickly bring up this. See if I can find. I had this opened up earlier. And to protect your privacy, Duy, what I've done, so I know you sent me this sheet about a month ago. So, but I have taken off the dollar figures for your privacy. So therefore, I just want to show what Duy has, like Duy, you said you began in November, right, of last year.
Yeah, I think it was about sort of maybe late October, but my first sort of sell was in early November.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, he started, the buying side was about, I think this is based on in chronological order. So in October, end of October last year. So it's about, 11 months going towards almost a trader anniversary, like Trisha mentioned in January. So if you just look at the, besides, of course, we only, as we all know, we deal with the biggest companies anyway, so we minimize the risk. But now I want to look at the ROI. There's a few things I'm actually quite impressed. Your position size, very impressive, Duy. Not sure whether you used to do that before Blueprint, but your position size is very commendable because of the size that you've taken on board. But in other words, I can just tell that risk minimization is definitely your to go to make sure that you're protected. Would that be right? I'm just looking at this right there.
Yep, it is. I probably do have a takeaway from that. I sort of broke that rule a little bit and I learned from it, but generally, yeah, my position size has been just sticking to the sort of 1%. That number that you see there is lower only because I think I put in a formula there where I sort of just updated my account size because I did top it up once, which then made some of the old position sizes smaller than they were. So generally, I'm always 1%. So
okay, cool. Yeah, no, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, so I was thinking, okay, you're going even lower than that. Basically, I'm looking at like 0.5, 0.6, like, okay. But then I thought, maybe your account's growing. And so I had a bit of an inkling as well. So that does clarify. So yeah, and then if you look at your ROI, right, like it's 19, -2, 7, 3, 6, 2, 1. So a lot of, I guess it's more when I look at it, it's consistency and very small losses here and there, which will happen. So newbies out there, please be aware that this does happen. Don't expect you to get them all right. But I remember, and I think Tony is on the line, and I think with Tony, when I saw his spreadsheet, it was actually quite scary. He didn't have a loss for like 40 trades or something straight, which is extraordinary. But even look at Duy's 13, 6, 10, -6. I'm going to look for your negatives rather than the positives. The positives are all there. -4, -0.28. So, Duy, how does it feel actually knowing that, of all these trades, right, that you're doing, and I mean, annualized just goes through the roof, it's ridiculous. But going through all these trades, right, and every time you're making these type of losses, they're there. But how do you actually feel compared to what you used to do?
Yeah, it doesn't phase me at all, to be honest. And a lot of those losses there are just losses on a position in a total number of positions. So my if I look sort of back, I probably only made an overall actual sort of a loss on a total position of when a share or a stock, maybe 3 times.
Wow.
I can't remember exactly, but I know it was one of them was XCL where my overall sellout was maybe minus, I don't know, 2% or something. But a lot of those negatives you see there are just losses on the first position, but the overall sort of sellout I made a gain. So so overall, it's been pretty good.
Please, what you just said is incredible. So please, everyone, that is definitely a takeaway, because I know, for example, some of you have, I think it was on Facebook, I think Martin who said, potentially, worry about sort of averaging down, so to speak. But with Duy, what he's done is he's literally just done that as well. Of course, being patient to wait, and even if it drops, which is why we say position size accordingly. Whether if we're lucky, sometimes it just spikes up, we make our profit, away we go. But sometimes we do get it, or we don't. I won't say we get it wrong, but our timing might not be perfect. And if the stock actually does drop, so what Duy is doing is he's taken on board another position and then another position. So he's adding them on. So by the time he ends up with it, really, which is very similar to me, sometimes the only loss that he might have is literally the first position, and the 2 or 3 others that he's put on top has now exceeded. So overall, that one stock is now in profit. So Duy, I guess the question I've got is on average, how often, what's sort of the maximum that you do put on? You go, okay, I've had enough and no more, position wise.
5%. So I just follow the 5% sort of overall position sizes for any one stock. And yeah, I don't think I've ever exceeded 5% at any one time. So yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good rule, and that's what we roughly follow. Unless it's very even rare for me. I go to 6-7%. That's very very rare. But usually 3 to 5 is where we stay at as well. So yeah, it's good to see. And you can just see, look, okay, there's a loss, potentially not really a loss because he's made it up, but then just a string of all the positives, negatives here and there. And if I just go all the way to literally, let's go to just literally, it's quite amazing where you've come in what 11. I mean, you've gone away for like a month-ish. So I know you haven't been trading that month-ish. So just going on the results to say basically June. So it's been a couple of months of, there's obviously potentially more that's been added on top. But looking at your average summary, it's 5.8% on across the board. So basically every $100 that's in the market, $5.80 comes back. And the number of days on average that you're holding is just under 2 months. So annualized per position on an actual cash cash return type basis is 86% return. Position size at 1.1, of course, that's actually probably quite close, since you said to me that you've added money on top. And 199 wins. 199 investments since up to June, and then 180 of them being winners. And of course, when you talk about, you said even though you've got the 19 losers, in actual fact of stock position, maybe 3-4 out of all those stocks that you've taken on board. So a win rate of 90.45 or 9 out of 10. Which is you're aware of this, because of course I did this part as a summary. Were you aware of this the record that you've got currently? Not exactly the way you just calculated, but somewhere close, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and Duy, I don't know. I know you've been away for a while. We had a session on system quality number, or SQN. Did you get to either see the replay, or did you see that at all?
Yeah, I did see the replay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, because it's your rate, basically your win rate and your return rate is sitting within that SQN of basically Holy Grail as well. So it's actually really good to see that it's all working pretty much perfectly. So even if your account goes bigger and bigger and you scale up and size up, the risk you're taking is hardly anything compared to the returns you're making. So it's going to be quite consistent type returns without the risk that normal people take.
Yep, and that's why I like it so much. It's I quite enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I might just have a quick break with Duy. So what's your thought? Actually, just from looking at Duy, everyone, what's your thoughts on his I guess his account of what he's done? Morris has said nice work. Chris, awesome. Morris is okay. We can hear it. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody got any other feedback for Duy? Yeah, Toshi, fantastic. Also Tony, fantastic. Louise got what a machine. Darren, terrific. David's also got marvelous, fantastic, awesome. Yeah, Duy's pretty much all fantastics and awesome result coming through. So yeah, it's you're literally, you are tracking the Freedom Trader in terms of the results that we're getting long term, and at the moment you're actually beating the Freedom Trader, which is good to see as well. Because long term, what we've been tracking now is falling into that 80-ish%. But which is still fine. But however, just anything above 9, every time you get 9 out of 10, it's just a I think it's also a confidence booster as well, just knowing that every time you put 10 out, 9 come back at a profit.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Duy, to get this type of result, right? Great to see the results. I know you already briefly mentioned that it doesn't take a lot of time, but what would your typical day look like now? And how much time do you focus, as I'm sort of asking you again, on this Freedom Trader portfolio as a general?
Yeah, I really, lately I've been sort of getting up. I'm actually getting up earlier. I'm sort of trading maybe just a bit over an hour before close, only because I get up a bit early and I try to get to the gym as well. And, to try and do the trading at the gym is a bit hard. So I try to do that before I head to the gym. And then, but I really only spend about, the 15, 20 minutes in the morning because I've already set it up, what my buys and everything are going to be and my sells. And then really I try to spend about an hour on the weekend at the coffee shop or at home somewhere just to do my research. Maybe sometimes a little bit more than an hour, but usually around an hour on the weekend. And each day is only about 15, 20 minutes, and that's about it. So,
wow. Okay.
which is it's that's why I like it so much, because once I get those out of the way, and then I put the trades in, and the rest of the day is pretty free to do all the other things I want to do. So no, it's really good.
Yeah, and say if you were to say a day where I don't know, a market pullback happens, right, which has occurred. Do you find that you're spending more time on those days where it doesn't go from 20 minutes now? You might go for an hour or two potentially.
Yeah. If there's a market pullback, and by following the system, it's been pretty good, because you sort of see where, like for example, in this period, it's high market risk, so I'm more focusing on building up cash and sort of locking in profits. So whenever there's a market pullback, I've always got sort of the money there, and B, sort of it gives me a bit more work to do sort of in the background to sort of come up with, if I need to do some revaluations, or just come up with see all the shares that I'm sort of, or stocks that I'm looking to buy. So yeah, I do spend a bit more time when there's a market pullback, especially I remember back in January, was it, when there was a big pullback? January, February, I remember spending maybe an extra, like on each night, maybe before getting up in the morning, before I go to bed, I'll spend a bit more time researching a bit more, and maybe adding more stocks to the list, and just getting ready to buy more. So definitely, if there's a big market pullback, I spend a bit more time at night.
But worthwhile, right? It's those times is when you should be focused and worthwhile.
That's right. Yeah, definitely.
So what would you say would be your, say, 1 or 2 takeaway lessons and actions that you can share with our group in this process that you've been about a yearish now almost of trading?
Position size, I think, is one thing that I sort of learned a bit of a lesson from. So prior to the January pullback, there was a few trades that I did, or a few positions that I took, that I kind of broke the rule a bit, because I think I got a bit carried away. And I did actually take on more than the 1%. So luckily it was very early in the piece, but I took, maybe 2 or 3%, because I thought, it's definitely going to go up. I'll just put in a bit more money and then get a bit more of a return. But then what I realized was, when the market pullback happened, I didn't have much more opportunity to, I guess, average down before I hit my 5%.
Right.
And that's where I made a loss on, I think it was XCL. I think it was that one, I can't remember, but and that's why I got to get better at this trading journal, because I can't exactly remember which one, but there was a few of them where I took on more than 2% or maybe 3%, and then in one go, and then realizing that I was going to hit 5% whilst the market pullback was happening. So I didn't have enough sort of, I guess, positions up my sleeve to allow sort of the average down to happen, and then take the upswing. So then I hit my 5%, and I was like, I can't put any more positions in. Then it went down further. There was more opportunity, but couldn't take it on because I was already at my 5%. And when it did go back up, it didn't go back up to make a profit. So I
Yeah.
learned my lesson there.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes it does take that lesson to drill it in, because if not, you'll never get it.
And thank God for the position sizing overall, like, in the portfolio, because I didn't lose too much money at all. So, but that's what it took to learn that lesson. And ever since then, I've just stuck to 1%. So, and it's been good.
Yeah, no, awesome. I think there's a question that came through from Louise. Do you utilize stocks on your trade, or is this more of an investment style? Yeah.
These are all investments. So I actually haven't. When I did start, I put a few stop losses in, but then I realized a lot of what I was buying were investment grades. So I haven't put stop losses in at all since maybe the first couple of weeks that I started. All of these are all investment grade sort of positions. So I don't have any stop losses.
Yeah. And I think the reason why also even in our own portfolios, Duy, is we switched across from very active trading on the so-called even the lower grade type stocks of, say, the watch list that you saw earlier, is because of where the market is currently at right now. It is on very high. So at any point when there's some bad news of US trade relations or whatever with China, and then the market has a pullback, you'll see that a lot of these stocks prematurely get stopped out for nothing, even though the next day you might even just bounce back because of another headline that says, oh yeah. So even ourselves, we're no longer using that stop loss, and people say, oh, isn't that risky though? But what I think what then helps us is the part where the position size that you've got on, that acts almost basically acts as the plan B, that even if we don't have a stop loss, we're okay because we've got small positions and we're happy for it to go down to buy more. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's right. And because you've done the research and the fundamentals and the I guess there's smart money in it, I'm not really worried at all. So if it does go down and I've only had one position in, then in a way I'm a bit more excited I can pick up another position. So
yes, that can't agree with more, because psychologically, when now just want to ask you this: when you put on a position, do you even feel anything at all? Is there
no, not really.
Yeah, like because of the position you put on, right? What's your I guess I know of course you've got a process, but what comes through your mind? Like scared, trepidation, anticipation, anxiety, anything?
No, to be honest, not really anything. I mean, apart from actually sometimes when I see sort of stocks that I like Google or Facebook pop up, and I'm sort of like, oh wow, I get to buy in one of these again.
Right.
Once I've made that purchase, I sort of and then I'm done. I just switch the laptop off and head off wherever I'm going, to the gym or whatever it is, and get on with the day. I don't really think much about it till the next day, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that's sort of the second takeaway is the psychology of it. It comes back down to, and I guess that's what attracted me to what I liked about your course was the first module being all about mindset. And I do believe mindset is probably the biggest part of it. Just to be able to remove your emotions from it makes it just so much easier. I mean, we're all humans, and we tend to get emotional when money's involved, and you can't help that a lot of times. But to be able to trade in the system and actually have a system in place that gives you the confidence that what you're investing in, or the companies you're buying are solid companies, and they've got a lot of backing behind them. You're able to remove that emotion and not be worried throughout the day, and I think that's sort of the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, actually, beautifully put, Duy. I feel exactly the same thing. Buying on great companies, and then on top of that, position sizing so small that whatever happens, it's fine. That's ultimately that just gives us that emotional stability.
Yep.
And I think one thing I want to say is our job as an investor / trader is that in the end, if we do it long enough, we want to be almost robotic, that there is literally you have a win, it's a win. If you have a loss, it's a loss, and there's no, I wish I did this, I regret this or whatever. There should be none of that. And if it's just that you put on a trade, and if it wins, it's great, it's part of the system. If you lose, also part of the system, it's fine. Just knowing that 9 out of 10 will come good anyway, and it's just part of the game, the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, Duy, last question. Would you recommend others join Blueprint and continue their inner circle journey?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. I guess the systems, as I've said before, it certainly got me back into trading stocks, and whereas previously, I guess without a system where that that was had both sort of the fundamentals, but also be able to protect your capital. It was a bit scary before, but yeah, definitely the system I think is a great system, and being part of inner circle. Every time you tune in, sometimes like today, I sort of getting that refresher on building your watch list and also the charts. I mean, sometimes you go on and you think, yeah, I've done it so many times, I know it, but I think in every lesson you pick up something that you might have forgotten or you haven't sort of seen in the same sort of perspective before. So
Yeah.
definitely, and also being able to sort of hear everyone's takeaways and what people's wins are, and sort of seeing that people are on the same journey as you. It's great.
Yeah, and even for me, that's my greatest satisfaction when I see your results and I see everyone's interaction on Facebook helping each other, but also when I ask the wins and everyone tells me about it, it picks up my week, and I see that as well, which is great.
Yep.
So Duy, just want to say thank you, everyone. I think everyone very likely they've enjoyed tonight, just hearing about you, knowing your story, and I put on there, the hot seat being AKA you're always, to me, you're always known as the system flowchart guy.
The flowchart guy, yeah.
Okay, who's Duy? Oh, in module 5, that flowchart thing, it was created by you, so they know. Oh yeah, yes, I remember you. So
I created that whilst I was waiting to whilst my IB account was getting set up, and it took so long. So I thought, you know what, I'll create this flowchart and keep learning.
So I technically we should all thank IB for delaying it. So therefore you had the time to create that for us.
Yeah, I probably would have created it anyway, but yeah, I created that time because I didn't want to lose that train of thought. So yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Duy, for the time tonight. I think it's been a pleasure for you being part of our group, because you add a lot of value as well, and just an inspiration to not just on the trading front, but what you do in life for the work that you do outside of your normal day, so to speak, with all the charity stuff.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Duy. I'll just take you offline. Thanks, Duy.
Thank you.